Overcome evil with good. Genesis chapter 33 verses 18 to chapter 35 verse 8. Nahum chapter 1 verses 12 to chapter 2 verse 5. And Matthew chapter 5 verses 38 to 48. Introduction. Did someone do evil towards you, but you overcome it by doing good? Last parasha. Upon going back to his land, Jacob reached Seir, the country of Edom, the place of his brother Esau. He sent messengers to scout Seir. Jacob's men told him that Esau had 400 men, so he was greatly afraid and distressed. When he was about to meet his brother Esau, a man angel of Adonai wrestled with him until the breaking of day. The man changed Jacob's name to Israel, for he had struggled with Adonai and with men, and had prevailed. After 20 years, finally Jacob and Esau met. Jacob humbled himself by bowing down until he came to his brother. Esau ran, embraced Jacob, fell on his neck, kissed him, and they wept. They separated after their forgiveness. Esau returned to Seir, and Jacob journeyed to Succoth. Now in our Torah portion, Jacob came safely to the city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan. His family gets bigger, but suddenly it is disturbed by Dinah, the only daughter of Jacob from Leah, who went out to see the women of the land. Maybe she was curious about them, but sadly Shechem the Hivite prince and son of Hamor, saw her, took her and lay with her, and violated her. This story has been understood as the rape of Dinah. So was she really raped? How come Shechem wanted to marry her and spoke kindly to her? According to Dr. Allison L. Joseph from the Torah.com, Biblical Hebrew does not have a word for rape, and in fact, many printed English Bibles subtitle the chapter, The Rape of Dinah. In verse 2, it says that Shechem saw Dinah, meaning she was in the place already, took her, and lay with her, and debased her. The Hebrew word for took is lakach, means to take, get, fetch, marry, and take a wife. Maybe from this meaning why Shechem wants to marry Dinah. Next, the Hebrew word for lay is shakab, means to lie down, to lodge, to rest, and relax. For the word debased, the Hebrew word is ina, which means to lower a person's status or humiliate. The Hebrew word ina was also used in 2 Samuel chapter 13 verses 12 to 14, where Ammon, the son of David, invites his sister Tamar to lie with her. In the case of Tamar, she was overpowered or forced by Ammon, and Tamar protested, but not in the case of Dinah, who was silent, which I believe the debasement that happened to her is an insult of sex act that lowers her status as a woman. As we look at the story of our Torah portion, it is more about how the family of Jacob was violated by the Shechemites, and how Jacob's sons took vengeance not for the rape of Dinah. But my main focus here is Jacob, who had a new name Israel, which reflects his new character as well. As a father, how did he overcome the bad things that happened to his family? A. He held his peace until his sons came. Verse 5b. Jacob chose to be silent. His spirit was cool and acted with honor. Maybe she wants to hear from Dinah, but nothing in our text says that she spoke something to Jacob. This is a reminder to us that in a difficult situation we need to calm down and act in a manner beneficial to us and the people around us. B. He rebuked his sons upon killing Hamor, Shechem, and their men. Verses 25 to 30. Simeon and Levi made an agreement with the Shechemites through circumcision. They want all the males of the Shechemites to be circumcised. When they agreed to the agreement and were in pain, Simeon and Levi took the advantage and killed them. Jacob did not tolerate his two sons because their actions are inexcusable and defenseless. Parents should rebuke and discipline their children if they are wrong. Proverbs chapter 13 verse 1. A wise son accepts his father's discipline, but a scoffer does not listen to rebuke. C. He told his household and to all who were with him to put away their foreign gods. Verse 2. After the sons of Jacob killed the Shechemites, they took all their animals, wealth, and plundered all that's in the houses, and they could not avoid picking up the idols of these people. Moving to Bethel, Jacob was preparing to worship Adonai Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh as his one and only true God, so he commanded his household to give up their false gods. He wants them to rely on Adonai alone because he hates idolatry. Exodus chapter 20 verse 2-4 I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself an idol, or any likeness of what is in heaven above or on the earth beneath or in the water under the earth. Our Torah portion is reminding us of the following. 1. There is danger in attaching ourselves to the world. Due to curiosity, Dinah went out to see the women of Canaan, and she was debased. In Matthew chapter 4 verses 8-9, Satan offered Yeshua the kingdom of the world in exchange for worshiping him, but Yeshua refused. Satan is using the pattern of this dark world so that we cannot focus on serving Adonai Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. 2. We need to separate ourselves from the world. Since the creation of the heavens and the earth, there was separation. Adonai separates the light and darkness, he separates the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. As a grafted-in believers, we have to separate ourselves from the pattern of this world. Our Haftarah deals with the vision of prophet Nahum against the Nineveh, the capital of Assyria. Going back to the time of prophet Jonah, he was sent by Adonai Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh to have a call to repentance for the people there. But after 1 century during the time of Nahum, the Assyrian went back to their old ways and they conquered the northern part of Israel and overpowered Judah in the south. So Adonai sent Nahum there for a mission. In verse 14, we can see the fall of King Sennacherib who invaded Judah, and in chapter 2, we can see the destruction of Nineveh, through the leadership of Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon. This Haftarah portion is a reminder to us that Adonai Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh will destroy anyone who oppressed his chosen people. In apostolic portion, Yeshua taught his Talmidim on how to retaliate in front of the oppressor verses 38-42, and how to show love with your enemy verses 43-48. To retaliate against the oppressor, Yeshua said to offer the other cheek. Why? Because in doing that, we can practice self-control and learn to leave revenge to Adonai. In loving your enemy, Yeshua taught 3 things on how to do it. First, bless those who curse you. Second, do good to those who hate you. Third, pray for those who persecute you. These things are impossible to do, but if we are going to look to Yeshua as our role model, it is possible. To summarize our apostolic portion, Yeshua not only wants his Talmidim but even us to be free of taking revenge to someone who did evil against us, but learn to retaliate with love. The connection of our parasha is about overcoming evil with good. In Torah, when Dinah was debased, Jacob held his peace. In Haftarah, Judah overcomes the evilness of Nineveh by entrusting the vengeance to Adonai. In apostolic, to overcome evil, Yeshua taught us to not retaliate and pray for our enemy. Back to my introduction, Yeshua is the best example of overcoming evil with good. Even though he suffered, persecuted, and crucified, he did not retaliate but prayed to his Father to forgive those people. If we refuse to retaliate and take revenge to those who would wrong us, we overcome evil. Romans chapter 12 verses 19-21 Beloved, do not avenge yourselves, but rather give place to wrath. For it is written, Vengeance is mine, I will repay, says Adonai. Therefore, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him a drink, for in so doing you will heap coals of fire on his head. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. Shabbat Shalom.